Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for being with us today. And I hope you'll convey also my thanks to the dedicated people that you lead in your organizations. I know those people have suffered a blow to their morale as a result of the disclosures that we've been talking about for a long time. While the route by which we got to this discussion was awful, involving a clear violation of U.S. law and almost certainly putting Americans at risk, I do believe it's an important conversation for a democracy to have, as painful as it may be given the circumstances. I also reject that it is simply a PR exercise in convincing Americans that all is well if they just understood what was going on. This is complicated stuff. Forget what we say and do. 2 federal judges have ruled in opposite directions on the legality of the 215 metadata program. The Privacy Civil Liberties Oversight Board split 3-2 on the legality and constitutionality of this. This is a good debate, which I want to set aside for the moment in favor of a question of utility of the 215 metadata program. Also an area in which there's been a great deal of misinformation, stories initially propagated by some of my colleagues that 70 events were disrupted. That very rapidly became single digits, maybe 1, 2, or 3. Director Comey, question for you. In testimony in the Senate, in an answer to a question by Senator King, you said, for the FBI, the primary value of this program is agility. That is, it allows us to do in minutes what would otherwise take us hours. And my question is that the strongest defense of the utility of the 215 metadata program that can be mounted? Or is there something else here we should keep in mind?
No, it is the primary utility for the FBI. From our perspective, its agility is its greatest value. It's a useful tool for that reason.
If I might add to that, I think, as I've said before, I don't think plots foiled is necessarily the only metric that could be used as to the potential value of the Section 215 metadata, which is an important tool. Last summer, when we had a number of diplomatic facilities in the Mideast that were closed because of what appeared to be potential terrorist threats, it turned up some number of selectors that pointed in the direction of the United States. So using this tool, we're able to eliminate the fact that there was no terrorists and there was no domestic plotting going on. So there is, at least in my mind, that additional metric apart from the pure plots foiled. And of course, the program was conceived as a result of 9/11 and the inability to track a foreign communicant who was communicating with someone in the United States. So it's kind of a maybe low probability, but potentially very high impact tool.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Copper. I'd like to follow up with you on a different topic. We touched on it yesterday in closed session pertaining to Iran and the agreement, the P5+1 agreement. Are we seeing compliance on the part of Iran with respect to their obligations under that agreement? Or put another way, are we seeing any evidence of non-compliance?
So far, they are complying with the agreement, and the evidence of that is in the initial IAEA declaration of their compliance with the provisions of the JPOA. That's not to say they won't take advantage of that which is not prohibited. They will, and certainly the combination of the more intrusive IAEA inspections and surveillance, coupled with what we're able to do, we'll be watching for that.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have intelligence which suggests that the regime is in any way not acting in good faith at this point? Any sort of collection which would suggest that there is deception or malintent?
No, can't point to any.
Director Clapper, you told Senator King over on the Senate side your opinion that right now the imposition of more sanctions would be counterproductive. Let me ask a slightly different question. The President in the State of the Union obviously said he would veto sanctions, so that's likely off the table. But what about resolutions or other measures that were to come out of the Congress threatening additional sanctions? How would you feel about that?
As I said to Senator King when he asked the question, the Iranians are students of us and our government, and they clearly understand how the system works here. And so from their vantage, I think right now imposition of additional sanctions would be a poke in the eye, and they understand the implicit threat is there anyway. If the Congress decides they're not, for whatever reason, not in compliance and they want to impose more sanctions. So it's kind of a policy thing, but I think from the Iranian perspective right now, since they do appear to be complying with the provisions of the JPOA, would hold that that possibility in reserve.
Director Kalber, do the Iranians believe currently that if there were a violation that the United States government would be very serious and very rapid in imposing additional sanctions?
Well, there are, as there are various opinion pockets in this country about things, so are there in Iran. So it's very hard. I don't think there's a monolithic view among the Iranian decision makers about that.
Great. Thank you. I see my time is up, but thank you very much for appearing and for all that you do. Mr. Chairman,